Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. He does not say go and force them to believe the way you believe. He gave every man a free will, and he says go and teach. And every person had, just as that religious freedom law says, they have the right to choose what they want to believe. All those people that were there that day that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood up, they had the right to choose what they wanted to believe. All the people that quit praying because the king said to quit praying had the right to choose if they wanted to quit praying or not. And those that chose to keep on praying, and those that continued to keep in the freedom that was issued by God, became victorious. We still learn about them today. So as the things that come along in the next year and the next 4 years, or they use so many things to try to stir up a fear and stir up a concern about something's not going right. But God didn't call us out to go out and force people to believe or condemn them because they don't. That's their choice. If they choose not to, that's quite all right. He told us to go and to teach them. And as they accept it, baptize them. And then go on to the next one. And don't look back and want to say, well, I try to teach him, he won't get it. Because guess who's the guilty party now? We're to be examples of Jesus Christ. We're to be the ones out there saying, you know what? There's all kinds of freedoms written down on paper, but they're meaningless. They carry no value at all. There's some promises in here and some freedoms in here. There's some freedoms from burdens in our life. There's some freedoms from all kinds of things if we just let the Lord walk us through it. If we decide, you know what, I can't do this on my own. I need somebody to lighten the load. And I need to learn to walk with Him and walk through the things that I go through in this world with Him at His side. I'm at His side. He says, come unto me, all ye that are weak and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. But so many times we see these things happening. Well, I need to do something about that. I need to do something about that. We need to make a change. We need to. There's the number of different things that are coming up to say about each other in this election goes way beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. One proclaiming this, one proclaiming that. Turning this around to say that, turning that around to say this. And it's all fear. Do you see how afraid they are? They're deathly afraid of one another. Satan's working overtime. And it's working. They're eating it up. They're jumping on it like a June bug. They love it. They think they're going to gain something. They think they're going to acquire something that's not acquirable in any way that they know to do it. They continue to try to force people to believe one thing or another. Through manipulation, through whatever they have to believe. Oh, he's going to be the worst president in the world. Oh, she's going to be the craziest. This morning we got up and turned on the TV and I turned it back off, turned the radio on. Don't need that TV. Don't even need it. Well, I like the radio. I like get some good. We put 105 on and let the peace of God come fill the house up, and then everything's good. Everything's good. But see, it's where's our focus? What are we focused on? Are we focused on going to fix this world that's already going the way that it's going to go? And there, I don't think there's enough. Desire in any group of people anywhere to make a change. I remember 15 years ago when I was driving a truck. About 15 years ago, 9/11. Fuel prices, everything just went skyrocketing high. Law enforcement just got terrible with truck drivers. It was crazy. And now there's not that many truck drivers. There's a lot, but not in comparison to other sects. But to get 15 truck drivers to agree and do one thing together was impossible. At that time, California was writing a lot of tickets because the speed limit for trucks was 55, and everybody else is doing 75. Well, it doesn't matter what's happening. If everybody's going 75 and you're driving 55, you're plugging things up. But they were writing tickets. They began to write tickets for trucks going over 55. And everybody was complaining, well, gas is high out there, and fuel's high out there, and the traffic tickets, and on and on and on. And I told them, I said, it's real easy to fix. What do you mean? There's only 3 bridges that go into California. You put 30 trucks on each bridge and shut them down, lock the doors, and walk off. They got a problem. And they got a big problem. Because they can't get enough tow trucks in any reasonable amount of time to clear them bridges, and traffic's going to be backed up from LA to Dallas. Well, you can't do that. You're absolutely right. As soon as you said can't, you're absolutely right. But I remember back in the 60s when they had the gas thing, and they dropped, it might even been the 70s, when they dropped the speed limit back to 55, and the truck drivers pulled them in the truck stops and parked them and said, okay, we're not going to deliver no more. But all of them did. All the truck drivers stopped. But see, anymore you can't gather enough people to get anything done. Everybody's afraid. When I would try to get the truck drivers to come together, oh, I got to make a truck payment. If I don't make a truck payment, they'll take my truck. Well, all you're doing is complaining about driving it, so what's the problem? I don't get it. You know, but it's a time that we've come to, and I really believe, I was talking to Greg and Susie this last week, and the people that they minister to, and the things that they hear, we're in a time that it's time for God's people to be God's people again. It's not about going out and making people do things. It's not going out and telling everybody they're wrong because they're not Christian. It's time to go out and teach everybody what Christianity really is. It's time to go out and teach people about Jesus Christ. In a loving, we had a couple of comments after the funeral. It was kind of a short notice thing, and it was amazing. Thank you, Leonard and Cherie and Janet and Earl and all of you that helped us with the funeral services on Tuesday. That come together really fast. Candy brought some stuff. I'm trying to remember everybody, but it came together really fast, and it was a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be. But you know what? We got to minister to, we got to talk to, and got to visit with a lot of people we would never otherwise ever get to see. Met two couples that came from Oklahoma for the funeral. And afterwards we had lots of comments. Never been in a church like this before. I've never walked into a strange church like this and felt so loved in my life. Over and over and over, we got comments like that. That's what Jesus called us to do. That's what Jesus wants us to do, is let people know that He is still alive. And He's still saving lives, and He still loves everybody. He's the same Jesus today as He was when He walked the face of this earth, whether there's a religious freedom law or not. Whether the people that write the rules say you can or you can't, it doesn't matter. Jesus didn't say that in the end of Matthew. He said, well, as long as they let you, go out and teach. He said, go ye and teach. Baptizing them. Let that be your focus. Let that be the thing that's on your mind all the time. You know what? In the times that I see, and as bad as they get, I need to be teaching somebody about Jesus. And give them an opportunity. If they don't want to hear, I'll go on to the next one. But I'm not going to condemn them because they have that right. God gave them that will. God gave them that free will to decide. How can I take anything away from God? God gave them that will to choose. So if they choose not to, that's okay. He knows that. He already knew that before I ever talked to him. But I want to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be sharing that love of Jesus Christ. I'm supposed to be letting people know that, you know what? He is still alive. Just as alive as He was the day that Matthew writes about when He said, go and teach ye all nations, baptizing them. Go and do that. And don't worry about what everybody else is doing. That's just a load that you don't need to carry. That's just something that you don't need to be worried about. That's just one more thing to drag you back from doing what I called you to do. You don't have to be a pastor or an elder or a deacon or a teacher. You don't have to be anything to witness to somebody except willing. Willing to say, you know what? I've experienced things in my life because of Jesus Christ that I know a lot of people haven't, and I need to share that. And if they want to receive it, I'm going to bless them. If they don't want to receive it, I'm going to bless them some more. So that they would know that regardless if you choose Jesus or not, He still loves you. He died on the cross for you. And you can think about that. If you want to choose it, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. It doesn't change the way that He feels about you. We don't need to let it change the way we feel about Him. Well, that's just a waste of time. I've ministered to them so many times and they don't want to hear it, so that's just a waste of time. No, what's a waste of time is I'm not praying for them. Praying for those who despitefully use you. That's what He tells us to do. To love. Through all circumstances, love. When they were going to throw Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in the fire, they didn't say, God's going to get you. They said, my God will be with me. That's what they said. You can throw me in there, it's okay, because my God's going to be with me. We talk about idols and we talk about gods, and in Jesus' day when He was on the earth, people worshiped all kinds of things. But you never seen Jesus ridicule or criticize somebody for what they did. He only told them there's only one God. You need to accept Him. You need to know who He is. There's only one true God that does all the things that you've heard about from Moses and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all those things you've heard about. There's only one God that orchestrated all of that. But you get to choose. It's up to you. And I'm not going to push it on you. I'm not going to criticize you if you don't. I'm going to bless you in both instances. I'm going to bless you and pray for you. Pray for those that don't know. Pray for those that are walking around in the darkness that they can't even find their way out. That God would shine the light in their life. That maybe you would be the light that would turn their head. That maybe you would be the light that would make a difference in somebody's life. Regardless of who they are, regardless where they come from, regardless of what they do. When that group came in here Tuesday, there's a good indication in my mind that a good portion of them haven't been in a church in a long time, if they've ever been in one. And I'm so grateful that God brought us here to this place, that if it was the first time they'd ever been in church, that they experienced Jesus Christ when they came into church. That was the greatest thing of the whole week. The music that they chose to play, the things they were doing weren't what we're used to. But it was okay because we know that God put them here so that we could. That's what's important. That's what He called us to do. Not, you can't stand right in front of the church and smoke. If we'd have told them that, half of them would have left. You can't come in here dressed like that. If we'd have told them that, the rest of them would have left. But see, God doesn't say, I told you to pick and choose, because God didn't pick and choose. God picked and chose everybody. And thank God for everybody that contributed, everybody that came, everybody that talked to these people, and just let them know, you know what, Jesus Christ is alive today as He was the day He walked this earth. And He still loves everybody, and He still cares for everybody. And He just wants everybody to know, and that's what He calls us to do. Regardless of the religious freedom, regardless of what man puts on paper, that shouldn't drive us to do it or not do it. God takes care of all of those things. God takes care of all the things that we don't need to worry about. He's a mighty, mighty God, and He can handle it all if we'll just do what He called us to do. Let's look at Galatians chapter 6. Galatians 6, 7 through 9. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. See, he says, you don't have to worry about the judgment day. God's going to take care of that. If they choose to reap that, that's their choice. You choose to reap what you choose to reap. And in verse 9, and let us not be weary in doing well, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. We shall reap if we faint not. We shall reap if we keep planting. If Rodney quits planting cotton, it ain't going to come up no more. He's not going to harvest any more cotton if he quits planting. If we quit teaching the gospel, if we quit sowing into the ministry of Jesus Christ, the reaping is over. Let us not grow weary in doing good. Let us not grow weary in welcoming people and loving people, even when it looks like I really don't want to put my arm around you. But Jesus does. Jesus wants you to know that he died for you on the cross. And he loves you to pieces. And he wants to spend eternity with you. He does. He really does. Many people have been turned from church by Christians. We can lighten our own personal load if we'll just remember, I have to make my choice. It's just like Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, just like they all made their choice. We have to make our choice and serve the one that sent me, just like Jesus did. And not worry about the rest of it. He takes care of all of that. And he told us it's going to get bad, it's going to get crazy, and you're not going to fix it. That's what sometimes I'm thinking. I think, well, we make so much effort to try to make our country great again and do all that. Well, why don't we make God great again first?
Amen.
Why don't we make God great again first? He'll take care of the rest of that. He promises that. He tells us, if my people, which are called by my name, will repent and turn from their wicked ways and seek my face, I will restore the land. So if you want to make America great again, then make God great again first. The rest of it he takes care of. We're going to play one more song. Be mindful all the time that he called us just to love, just to carry out the truth, just to be all he called us to be, and that's just walking beside of him. Hold on, here we go. Closing song, Mary, please. So many times, the weight of this world and the weight of the things that come in it and the weight of things that happen burdens us down to where we just need to lighten that load. We just need to get some of this weight off. There's just too much. Well, this morning, if you're here this morning, you've never accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior, you never came to a place that said, you know what, I see that all this fear and all this anger and all these things that are going on, they're just separating me from God. They're separating me from the one that provided for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel, and on and on and on and on. I want to be protected by that. I want to have that religious freedom. The one that the author, the one that the great I am, the one that the beginning is the